Age of Empires 4 has perhaps had one of the weirdest hype build-ups of, well, a game that people should be unanimously excited for. Age of Empires is one of the longest lasting strategy franchises of all time, especially since we've had all the definitive editions coming out that have only improved not only in graphics but also gameplay, bringing in new DLCs, expansions to completely overhaul the franchise. The community has grown to no end, not only competitively but also online, and of course the multiplayer side of it as well. So Age of Empires 4 should be knocked out of the park, right? Everyone should be incredibly excited for it. And whilst I know there are a lot of people that are, I think there's some skepticism. And especially after Age of Empires 4 released a little bit of new gameplay, mostly focusing around their naval combat. On the Xbox YouTube channel, they brought out a small little clip showing some of the naval combat that we'll be using in Age of Empires 4. And I can't lie, it's not had a great response. You see, Age of Empires 4 released some gameplay a few months back in a full trailer. At its initial announcement, there was only excitement for it. But as more and more was shown, people were starting to get a little bit wary. The main thing seems to be the look of the game. It doesn't look great. Why does it look a bit cartoony? Now, personally, I think it looks absolutely fine for what it is. I don't think it looks too cartoony, but it definitely isn't the same style to what they've gone through before. And it definitely doesn't feel like a 2021 improvement upon the franchise that's been out since, before the 2000s. So why was this response to the naval combat so negative? Well, mostly I think it's because people wanted to see an actual battle play out. All we're seeing are snippets. These are pre-scripted events and battles through the game. And yes, Relic Entertainment are doing this so they can show us the coolest parts of Age of Empires 4. For example, the bits of campaign map, the new ambushing mechanics, being able to knock down walls, breaking into towns with full destructive terrain, with being able to position troops on walls like we've never done before. But I think people are a bit fed up of it because we've not seen enough yet. Not enough to get people really hyped. Even just something as simple as a 10-minute skirmish game, I think would really introduce people to how the actual gameplay works. We know what troops look like when they're fighting on the battlefield in the Age of Empires franchise. We've been doing it for over 2 decades, but we want to see what the new UI looks like. We want to see what it's like building up your towns and cities, the early, mid-game, and late-game stuff, how it goes through upgrading through the ages and what changes this makes through the gameplay. We've not been shown any of that, and that's why I think people are starting to be a little bit skeptical. It's only clips that Microsoft and Relic Entertainment have shown us, and I think that's starting to work against them. Some of the main reactions I've seen through this naval gameplay are, why are the ships so primitive? Why are we still having this Age of Empires thing where you can't fire whilst moving? It's always been in the Age of Empires franchise. I guess it is sort of their locked-in gameplay style at this point, that you can move troops around the battlefield, but as soon as they get into combat and they start attacking each other, they stop. They have to just fight on the spot. It's always been fine with infantry, a little bit weird with cavalry, and it works well with artillery. However, when it comes to ships, I think people want to do a bit more. I guess they're not doing it because it adds such another level of micromanagement onto your combat when you're playing Age of Empires. So sure, keep the land battles as they've always been, but for naval battles, it's such a massive part of carrying on moving. It's been done in the past with games and it's been done really well, and I understand that adds another level of micromanagement, but it just doesn't feel like an advancement. People want to see something new. You're bringing in a whole new game in this beloved franchise, and the naval combat looks just the same, if not in some cases worse. And I think having that addition of being able to move your ships whilst firing would be a brilliant thing. Now, understandably, this is set in the medieval times, so the technology of the time would limit to how it's really used in battle, but I think it's something to keep in mind, and I think this just shows a trend for the Age of Empires 4 game where they don't seem to be advancing as much as I think people really want them to do. Another one of the main factors that I've seen from complaints are the graphics. As I mentioned, a lot of people have spoken on the art style, and while some people love it, some people hate it, and some people don't really care in the middle, it's a really good talking point, as it is different. It is completely astray to what they've normally done in Age of Empires. Even stuff like the definitive editions have been able to bring in some amazing, gorgeous 4K graphics, and I think that art style, just advancing on what they did in the old games, but just upping the resolution, has worked really well for those remakes. But Age of Empires 4 isn't doing that. People are annoyed. It's a conscious decision to make Age of Empires 4 look like this. You see, the ships don't have reflections in the water. They're just shadows. This is what was being done in the original Age of Empires 2, not even the definitive edition. So why is it still like this? It's not like they can't do it, and I think that's what's annoying annoying people. Age of Empires 4 have made the decision to make the graphics like this because they've done it in the past, so they've obviously just reverted back on that decision. I mean, look at this gameplay from Age of Empires 3 Definitive. This came out last year, and look how gorgeous the water looks. Admittedly, it's set more in the Caribbean. You've got different styles of water. It's a different place. The geography is going to make a big difference to the overall look of the game. But in terms of graphical fidelity, in terms of actually how they work with reflections and how the ships move through the water, the particle effects, look at the difference. It is insane. Where is this detail in Age of Empires 4? Why haven't they been able to do it like this? And I think I know the reason behind it. Of course, this is just complete speculation, but I've got an idea of the lines they're going for. Let's look at the graphics, okay? So, Age of Empires 4 graphics looks pretty cartoony. It looks like something that we'd expect in a mobile game, a console game, or even something like an online live service game. And this is making fans not happy. It's not looking like a really premium new standalone release, but I think they've done it this way purposely. It's more scalable. Graphics like this can be moved between different platforms and look pretty similar. You see, if you have a game that looks like Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, that won't look the same if it's on a console. That won't look the same if it's on a mobile phone. But graphics like Age of Empires 4 will look the same across all platforms. And that kind of consistency is what companies really like to do in order to keep that promotion. If you see screenshots from one version of the game to another, not being able to tell the difference is a good thing. Doesn't matter what platform it's on, people are still going to know that this is Age of Empires 4 because of that art style that's been able to scale between these platforms. The video that was released was shown on the Xbox YouTube channel, not Microsoft's YouTube channel, not Windows YouTube channel, which it was officially announced on. This is the first time they put it on the Xbox YouTube channel. You could relate this into the fact that they're announcing that it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass, right? It's been confirmed that you'll be able to buy it on the subscription service that has been used upon the Xbox console, but now, of course, that Game Pass is available on PC, and there are PC-only games on Xbox Game Pass. So yes, it could just mean they're adding it to that subscription service, but they're keeping it a standalone on PC. However, does it seem like such a stretch that Xbox would want this game on their platform? You know, one of the most beloved strategy games is getting a new addition to the franchise, and they want to boost the Xbox, a game console that has been doing massive steps in terms of bringing in exclusives, buying up people like Bethesda to get their games on it. Would it be weird enough that Microsoft, a massive company that owns Xbox, that wants to push it further, that already publishes Age of Empires, would want that game on their console? And I think this is where the aesthetic choice of those Age of Empires 4 graphics is coming from. It's coming from that future-proofing. Yes, cartoony graphics might not look as good as what they did in the definitive editions, but it lasts for longer. This is going to look the same in years to come, and people aren't really going to say it's terrible graphics. They might say, yeah, it doesn't look as good as the ones that came before, but it can last for longer than perhaps something that tries to go the realistic graphics route. And that's on top of being scalable to every single platform possible, where the game will look the same even if it's not being played on PC. And I think that's the main route that they're going towards with Age of Empires 4. All in all, I think the annoyance from the fans isn't because of a hatred of Microsoft, Xbox, or even Age of Empires. I think it's the opposite. I think it is such a beloved franchise that people have grown up with this game. Me personally, my first ever game was Age of Empires 1, and I absolutely adore the franchise. And I think that's what's making people annoyed, that they're finally realizing that their beloved game is just coming into the new modern day of game development, that it will just be another one of these modern RTS games that tends to be a little bit lackluster and wasn't really that good old day of gaming. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see it more and more with our old game franchises coming back but never really being what they once were. Age of Empires 4 could be a great success, but at this point in time, I think they're playing it pretty safe. I made a video quite some months ago talking about whether Age of Empires 4 was actually a sequel or whether it's just a reboot. And this, for me, points towards that reboot look. Playing it safe, trying to bring new people into the franchise and trying to bring old people back into this Xbox Game Pass era. And that's why they've got to play it safe, because they're just rebooting it. But I don't think that's the right decision in order to push the franchise forward. But please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below on your opinions on this. Why do you think this naval gameplay has been received so badly? Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it though. Leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.